Good afternoon and welcome. Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Near Eastern and South Asian Affairs, Bruce Riedel, is here today to open the briefing with some news about some recent agreements. Bruce, I'll turn it over to you. Following that, I will return to the podium with a record number of announcements, and if you still have interest after that, I'll stand by to answer your questions. Bruce?
Good afternoon. I'd like to announce that following consultations between the United States and the government of Qatar, we have decided to deploy our third air power expeditionary force to Qatar. This will be a deployment of 34 aircraft, 30 fighters, and 4 tankers. We'll be handing out a announcement which will give you the bases that they're coming from. Like the earlier 2 air power expeditionary forces, this one is intended to demonstrate our ability to deploy land-based air forces to augment regional assets. It also gives us an opportunity to train and work with a coalition partner. We think this is a very effective means of demonstrating our determination to deter aggression against Qatar and our other allies in the region, and to maintain stability in the area. This is the third deployment we've made. The first was to Bahrain last November. The second one was to Jordan, which is currently operational and under deployment. And this third one, we think, demonstrates that we can go to a wide variety of countries in the area if we have to, and augment our forces in the region. It is not cued to any specific threat and should not be interpreted in terms of a specific threat. Like the 2 previous air power expeditionary force deployments, the aircraft in this one will participate in flight operations enforcing the no-fly zone over southern Iraq, Operation Southern Watch. This announcement comes out of the talks that we held here last Friday between Secretary Perry and the Qatari Foreign Minister, Sheikh Hamad bin Jassim bin Jaber Al Thani. They had excellent discussions on Friday afternoon, reaffirming our excellent defense relationship with Qatar. In June 1992, we signed a defense cooperation agreement with Qatar. Since then, we have done extensive pre-positioning of equipment in Qatar. And in the meeting on Friday, the 2 reaffirmed the United States' commitment to Qatar and to all of our partners in the Gulf Cooperation Council, and our determination to deter aggression against any of them. The current AEF deployment in Jordan will be coming to an end at the end of June. And I would just highlight for you that last weekend, King Hussein made a visit to the base in Jordan from which the operation is being flown, and praised it, and particularly highlighted the extensive cooperation that our forces had had with the Royal Jordanian Air Force in a training exercise, Operation Eager Tiger. I think I'll stop there and take any questions. Charles?
Bruce, this begins, did you say it, I'm sorry, did you say it begins in late June?
End of June, that's right.
June. Is this to make up for the lack of a carrier in the Gulf, as the one in Jordan is, or is,
no,
will a carrier be?
This is not teed to a carrier gap. It is simply an effort to demonstrate our ability to augment our forces there. You are right in that in other deployments, they have been often contemporary with a carrier gap. That is not the case in this one.
How much is it going to cost?
I don't have a full figure for you. We can try and look into that. I just don't have it. We haven't developed that yet. It's about 34 aircraft. I should have also said it's about 1,300 personnel.
Can you describe in any way the Qatari Air Force?
Qatar has a very small air force equipped with French, I think they're Mirage 1 fighters, about a dozen or so.
How long is this deployment for? Is it a temporary deployment?
It's a temporary deployment until the end of August.
Didn't the United States send, unless I'm wrong, send F-16s to Qatar during the Gulf War? Weren't those planes that were supposed to be at Torrejon was sent from Torrejon to Qatar during the Gulf War?
There were some aircraft deployed in Qatar during the war. I don't recall whether they were F-16s or not.
How long has the one in Jordan been going on since?
It began in April, mid-April.
These are F-16s that are going to.
This will be a combination of F-16s and F-15s. I can give you the F-15s will come from Seymour Johnson Air Force Base in North Carolina and Eglin Air Force Base in Florida. The F-16s will come from Shaw Air Force Base in South Carolina. And the tankers, the KC-135s, will come from Grand Forks Air Force Base in North Dakota.
We have a blue top for you.
It's got all the details.
What's the status of your further talks with Qatar on land-based pre-positioning another brigade set?
We have already begun deploying or pre-positioning some equipment in Qatar. I think we have now already a battalion. We have agreement from Qatar to deploy a full brigade plus some headquarters elements for a division. And we're in the process of doing that. It's a matter of constructing the facilities.
Are you still talking to them about a third brigade set?
It's a possibility. No decisions have been made.
Is that, this pre-deployment of, is that just equipment or is that also U.S. troops?
It's just equipment. It's equipment for a heavy brigade.
Can you refresh my memory, how stable is the government of Qatar right now? Wasn't there just in recent times a shift or something?
They had a change in leadership. They had a change in leadership last year. Our sense is the country is stable. The change in leadership was unaccompanied by any violence.
And they remain a strong U.S. ally?
I think that's correct. In fact, the foreign ministers' meetings in Washington last week demonstrated the depth of our relationship with them. The foreign minister called not only on Dr. Perry, but also met with Secretary Christopher and Vice President Gore. And I think it's important to note that Qatar has taken really a leading role in supporting the Arab-Israeli peace process as well, hosting a visit by Israeli Prime Minister Perez last month.
On the pre-positioning of equipment for a heavy brigade, I didn't quite catch what you said. Is that underway or is that
Right,
only
there's already a battalion worth of equipment on the ground, and we're constructing the facilities for the rest of the brigade.
So this will in no way affect the operations of the carrier battle group that's already there?
That's correct. Okay.
Okay, just a few announcements. Tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 in the DoD briefing studio, the Air Force will have a global positioning system equipment available and will present a brief demonstration of that system. For more information, you can contact the Air Force Public Affairs Office at 695-0640. The Army will have a demonstration of its current countermine equipment and latest developmental concepts, as well as a display on Thursday, May 16th at Fort Belvoir, beginning at 9:30 in the morning. They'll also have subject matter experts to discuss the equipment and the technology. Some of the equipment that will be displayed there is already in use in Bosnia. For further information, you can contact Ray Aponte at the Army Materiel Command at area code 703-617-8013 or 617-0126. I'd like to invite all of you and your friends and families to this weekend's DoD Open House at Andrews Air Force Base. Secretary Perry will preside at Friday Friday's opening ceremony at 10:05 a.m., followed by various demonstrations and flybys. This is all in connection with Armed Forces Day. The featured demonstration team is the Navy's Blue Angels, who will perform on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 3 p.m. Admission to this event is free. This DoD Open House is an excellent opportunity to see your military in action, and I would encourage anybody who is free and interested to attend. The Air Force will hold Recce Expo 96 on Friday, May 17th, beginning right after Secretary Perry's opening remarks at the DoD Open House at Andrews Air Force Base. Aircraft such as the RC-135, U-2, and the Predator will be open for viewing by the media, and crews will be available for interviews. For more information, you can contact either the Air Force or Andrews Air Force Base Public Affairs at 981, that's area code 301-981-4511. More than 6,000 military members from the United States and the United Kingdom will take part in the largest airlift and parachute assault since World War II tomorrow and Thursday, that's May 15th and 16th. This is Big Drop 3. It's a joint military exercise designed to train the rapid deployment of U.S. Air Force, Royal Air Force, U.S. Army, and British Army assets to strategic locations during times of international crises. Big Drop 3, known as Royal Dragon by the U.S. Army and Purple Star by the UK forces, will bring together 144 C-130 aircraft from 28 U.S. Air Force active duty, reserve, Air National Guard units, and from the Royal Air Force. Media are invited to cover the exercise and are advised to bring night vision capable photographic equipment. No lighting will be authorized in the drop zone. Washington media will depart Andrews Air Force Base tomorrow morning and return Thursday at 5 p.m. And for more information, please see Joe March in DDI. And finally, the Air Force announced that the B-2 bomber fleet is currently under a precautionary stand-down of routine training missions. A concern regarding a clamp in the tailpipe assembly of a B-2 aircraft was discovered last Friday. An inspection procedure is being designed to determine if any other B-2s have this problem. A precautionary stand-down is a temporary suspension of routine training missions when a safety or maintenance concern has been identified on one or more aircraft. The Air Force currently has 10 B-2s at Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. And if you need additional information on this one, I'm going to have to refer you to the Air Force.
When did they announce that?
I just got this announcement a short time ago, but I'm not sure when the actual announcement was made by the Air Force.
I don't think it has been announced.
I just made the announcement then.
Do you know why this wasn't announced before today, 4 days after the ground?
Again, I'm going to have to refer you to the Air Force for the timing on when they make their announcements on these stand-downs.
Do you know what happened besides concern about a clamp?
It has to do with, I believe that the clamp was cracked, and there was concern that the assembly, which was like the tailpipe that this clamp held in place, would shift, and they are most anxious to figure out what they can do to correct that problem, and if the problem exists on other aircraft.
Do you know how long this is going to take?
Don't have any idea at this point how long it'll take. We've got 10 aircraft involved.
When the Defense Department Public Affairs Office was made aware of this grounding?
I certainly have been made aware of it today, but this is the first I was aware of it.
Isn't that a bit unusual that something would have been discovered, or the fleet would have been grounded on Friday, and it would take so long to make a public
Well,
announcement?
I think it was on Friday, and then I think what they wanted to do was to get their contract personnel in there to take a look at it and to see what procedures they might recommend. And as a result of that, the Air Force elected to take this action.
ordinary for the services to announce the grounding of an entire category of plane sooner than 4 days after the grounding?
Well, but I think that the grounding took place just after they talked to the maintenance personnel contractors, which occurred, as I understand it, yesterday.
Will there be a B-2 at the air show, at the
Can't
event
say
this
at
week?
this point. It looks to me like that is somewhat in question at this point because of the routine nature of air shows.
So what you're saying?
Go ahead.
So the grounding was yesterday. They found the problem last
Well,
Friday.
now I can't tell you. All I know at this point is we've got an announcement that it has occurred. It has been since Saturday.
According to the people of Whiteman, it was Friday afternoon that they were grounded.
Yeah, the Air Force said it was Friday.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what the question, that begs the question of 5 days later, if it gets announced, it seems a bit unusual, don't you think?
Well, I'll have to refer you to the Air Force on what their procedures are for announcing their groundings.
Captain Doubleday, does the grounding of the B-2 fleet in any way adversely affect the national security of the United States?
I think that we're always anxious to have all of our aircraft operating, but I would say that at this point in time, no, that it does not.
There's no indication this is a defect in manufacturing of any kind?
I don't have any details at this point on what it might indicate.
Is that because this is a plane without a mission?
No, it's just because it's a problem that is being looked at that will be solved as expeditiously as it can possibly be solved.
Were all the B-2s in Missouri when they're grounded? Were
Can't
they
tell you
one-
what their location was.
So we don't know if any had to be brought back from a show or anything like that?
Is this the first time that there's been a stand down of the B-2 since they entered service?
I can't answer that. I really am going to have to refer you to the Air Force. They're the people that have all the details on this. Any other subjects? Yeah.
Any more word on the helicopter collision investigation?
No. As you know from your experience that there is always an accident investigation and a safety investigation that follow those, and those processes are going on, and I would imagine that it will be some time before we get a full report of what happened there. I know that Dr. White, the Deputy Secretary, was down for a visit to Saipan, where he held a memorial service on Saturday, and then he flew over the route, but there has been no reporting that I've seen from the investigations that are going on. Yeah.
There have been reports that Admiral Leighton Smith will retire before the end of the Bosnia mission. Can you shed any light on that?
I think I'm going to have to take exactly the same position that Ken Bacon took the other day, and at this point I just can't help you on that one. Yeah, just one more.
Captain Doubleday,
Yeah.
Is there any negotiations underway between Secretary Perry's office and Senator Specter on the request for the Secretary to testify on his intelligence reform bill?
Not that I'm aware of. The Secretary has made it clear that he would be willing to testify before a joint committee meeting, but I'm not aware of any kind of negotiations.
What about the Senator's hold on Pentagon nominations? Is that going to cause any problems if we don't get this thing resolved?
I think that everyone is aware that in the summer months there are a lot of military people who change jobs, and certainly we're anxious for expeditious handling of any nominations for senior military personnel, but at this point I think it's too early to predict how that's going to come out.
Thank you. Thank you.